time about plant milk, and learned that plant milk goes back thousands of years in many cases. Did you guys know this? And Wandali, good. Wandali's here for the recap too. For those of you just tuning in, right? We time traveled back to 1956 tonight. We talked an inordinately long time about plant milks and how they go back, like soy milk goes back to China in the 1300s. We Mad Libsified the theme song to Batman, which was just one word. All together now, if you were here when we Mad Libsified Batman, please share with everybody the brand new lyrics of this song. And we also established Burgess Meredith as a unit of measurement. So, for example, we're having a boot of a party. Exactly. Burgess travels. Exactly, Jeff Hickman. So, Katie, was I just milking a cow? I might have been. We found out that Doghouse delivered milk, but doesn't like it. That is another important key fact to tonight's live stream. That's how, in fact, he got the job, because he was like, you don't want Katie delivering your donuts. You don't want me delivering, because all your donuts will arrive with little bites taken out of them. But Doghouse, he can deliver your milk. And we talked about eggnog and scrapple. We've covered major territories. So if you haven't told us in the comments yet, it sounds like I didn't miss anything. Japan Punk, I've decided, when I was in Five Below, when we were at the mall a couple weeks ago, I decided, because they had Care Bear stuff in there, I decided that if I come across Care Bear gear and there's a little like sticker or patch with Grumpy Bear on it, I'm going to send it to you. Because you're my little Grumpy Bear, Japan Punk. Mwah. Let's see here. Right, guys? Jason Burke, how are you? I hope you're having a better night than last night, brother. Do you think Batman drinks milk? This is... Oh, yes, we were also talking about milkshakes. That was how we all descended into this. Do you think Batman drinks milk? So we were asking, do you like milkshakes? That was how it all got started. It did start on a sane note. It honestly did. Do you like milkshakes? Do you like milkshakes, and what kind? And then we also asked the very important question of if you could be in the 1960s Adam West Batman, which one, like which character would you be if you could be a 1960s Batman? So if anybody who's just coming in wants a chance to play with those questions. Fiction So Real, how are you, friend? Bridges traveled, like we're getting some verse dropped. Bridges traveled across the gagging stream below. Fresh cream fellows. Sharon is like, I am Catwoman. You are Sharon. Doghouse, you would drink milk as a kid and you would have a splash of it in your coffee. Interesting. Japan Punk, you're flying to Alaska to see a polar bear? Speaking of bears, is it like an actual bear or just someone very polarizing with whom you might get along? You can barely stand it. Dude, that's awesome. When are you leaving? Are you leaving tomorrow? Like, when are you leaving for Alaska? Has anybody else here been to Alaska? I've always wanted to go, like on a cruise. Your phone is making its own words, Angela? Is it bear or bear? A polar bear. Angela, you have a big bear by you? North the bear, he's right here. Polar bears are my favorite bear. He's right here. I read at one point about polar bears that polar bears are not actually white. Japan Punk, can you corroborate this? I read that polar bears are not actually white. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm poking you. That if you actually look at the hair of a polar bear, it's like clear. but because of how the light, there's like something with the light and how the light hits the hair, like the polar bears aren't actually white. It's like something funny with their hair. Sharon, they just look white to us. Sharon is saying, guess where we are going at the end of October for Stephen and Christine's birthday? I don't know, girl. Tell me. Sharon, you blame that poem on tasting history, Red App, on making clothes cream fiction? Interesting. Right, Ryan? You did hear that about polar bears. Doghouse! You are in rare form tonight, sir. Yoga Margaret, you think they have black skin. I too have read that. Let's confirm this. I like when we move beyond the pure consensus. Ever since, like on a side note, one of the things that also got me involved, we were talking about this last night, like about me being a birds and the bees educator, a statistic I read early on that just like propelled me forward into this profession, like was when I heard that 80% of the time on average, it was a statistic I read at some point that, you know, you can probably look up similar numbers even today. But like, if you go to your peer, like if you just go to your friend, particularly among teenagers, but if you go to your friends for information on the birds and the bees, they are probably wrong 80% of the time. That was like a statistic I will never forget reading. So I'm like, it's like fun to write, like to say like, well, I think I heard this. I think I'm like, I try to be like, I'm looking things up. I'm going to say our polar, well, let's start with Margaret's question. Do polar bears have, hello. Do polar bears have black skin? Okay, we've got the World Wildlife Fund as a source. WWF. Those wrestling bears. The World Wildlife Fund. Joseph joining the team. High five. Thank you, sir. Polar bears have white fur so that they can camouflage into their environment. Their coat is so well camouflaged in Arctic environments that it can sometimes pass as a snowdrift. Interesting. Okay. So this is the thing. It's both things we were just talking about. Interestingly, the polar bear's coat has no white pigment. So confirmed with the World Wildlife Fund. Interestingly, the polar bear's coat has no white pigment. In fact, its hairs are hollow and the polar bear's skin is black. So if you didn't know that, now you do.